Hey all, today's share is something I use in my classroom in a lot of different ways, and that is mini art books. Mini art books are a great way to use up kind of little bits and bobs of materials, and you'll see that throughout this video. But also the ends of paper. Our drawing paper comes in these really long sheets that then I have to cut up, and I always have like a little bit at the end from if I'm doing different sizes. So I save those and I just put a few sheets together, fold them in the middle, and then staple them down the center, and they make a really great little miniature book. And you can do this with printer paper or any kind of scrap paper that you want to. Um, and the smaller the book, the mini book, the more popular they seem to be. My students do have regular sketchbooks, but the mini books are always a huge hit. So a couple of other ways to use up materials. I got a donation of a lot of calendars, and so you can use those as a cover. I also got a donation of some scrapbooking papers, and there wasn't enough for every grade to have their own set, but there was enough to make some little mini book covers. Now, how to use mini books. You might be familiar with Inktober. It's a drawing a day challenge that takes place in October. For elementary kiddos and even for some middle school kiddos, the prompts kind of don't always work. So you can make your own prompts. And if the book is a little bit bigger, like this was one we did for Inktober when I taught middle school, you can divide the paper into little sections, kind of make it like a comic or a zine. And I give some little prompts. Prompts about food are always kind of popular, things you like, you don't like. Here's just a page that shows how it's divided up. You can do cats in your neighborhood or animals in your neighborhood. Those are a few. You don't have to do it for Inktober. You could do it any time of year. And again, giving fun little prompts like things you don't like or things you do like is a great way to start. You can also use this as a warm-up activity, an extra time activity. If kids know they have a little something to do when they're finished. For those early finishers, that's great. Now you can also use this as a part of a unit of study. Here's another one that has a few different ideas in it, but my third graders always do a project on on color. We do a color unit. And so one of the prompts for their mini book might be to create a drawing that's only in warm colors or cool colors, or here's one for complementary colors, so blue and orange. So you could have a different prompt and they would show a different understanding or concept or skill on each page. Now you can also use up those tiny little scraps of paper. Let's say you have construction paper. You can make a little mini collage. That's really fun. And this one is just construction paper and some marker. You can use magazines, and students of all ages seem to love cutting up magazines and books. Our library has a lot of discards, and instead of having them go to the recycling bin, we use them in art in fun ways. This was an old crochet magazine. Another idea is to trace around a common object. So I had this little pair of scissors that I put on the paper in different ways, and you can trace around that and then have your students create something from that. So like a little funny creature or a little scissors man or whatever. If you want to go kind of comic route, you can have them create a comic in 4 frames. That's pretty easy. It can have words or not words. My students often want to write a whole story or a book, and they collaborate on it sometimes, and it's awesome. So think about that as a possibility, as a storytelling device. Here's one that was in a color study, and I just used some watercolor crayon. Now, if you have just printer paper, like I do in this one, and not mixed media paper, you want to be careful with the water because it'll get really soggy. So use maybe a damp Q-tip or just leave water out of it altogether. For younger kiddos, if you have washable stamp ink pads, you can do some little fingerprint critters and have them saying stuff or not saying stuff. Another idea is a quick sketch of a pet that they have or would like. So those are some ideas for how to use mini books in the classroom. They're great for extra time activity. They're great for a unit of study. They are also great when you have a substitute and you need just kind of a fun little self-contained low maintenance kind of activity for everybody. Okay, I hope some of that gives you some useful ideas and have fun.